Summary of Once Upon a Time by Nadine Gordimer. A man writes to the narrator, who is a writer, and requests her to add a story to a collection of stories for kids. This man tells her that all writers should write a children's story, but she says no because she doesn't write for kids. The person telling the story doesn't think they ought to write anything. Then she talks about what happened the night before. The narrator wakes up in the middle of the night to the sound of footsteps on floors that are creaky. The narrator tries to hear if the footsteps are coming toward her bedroom. Her heart is rushing. Even though she doesn't have a gun or security bars on her windows, she already feels like a victim of a crime. She's just as scared as people who do. She talks about recent dangerous crimes that happened close to her home. Soon, the narrator figures out that the sound of creaking isn't coming from someone breaking in. There are a number of mines thousands of miles below the base of her house. Every so often, the hollowed-out rock walls collapse and fall to the ground below, making the house move and groan. In her mind, the mines are either no longer being used or have become a graveyard for all the miners, most likely foreign workers, who died down below. The narrator decides to read herself a bedtime story because she can't fall back asleep. A man and a woman who are happily married are at the start of her story. They have a little boy that they love very much, a reliable housekeeper, a skilled gardener, a pool that is fenced in so the boy can't fall in and drown, a neighborhood watch sign to keep people out, and a lot of smart insurance policies. There is insurance on the family for things like storms and fires, but not for riots like the ones going on outside the city right now. It makes his wife feel better, and he knows how deadly the riots are, so he puts automatic gates at the front of the house. The little boy is enthralled by the sound system, which lets people outside talk to someone inside. It's a walkie-talkie for him and his friends. When break-ins start happening in the family's neighborhood, the couple puts alarms and security bars on the doors and windows. The little boy's cat can sometimes set off the alarm, and mice or pets can also set off the alarms next door. The loud sirens start to sound more like cicadas or frogs singing in the background because they happen so often. Robbers often strike when the alarms are going off so that no one can hear them coming and going. Over time, black people who are out of work start looking for work in the areas. When the woman wants to send food to them, her husband and housemaids strongly warn her not to because they think the people outside are thieves. They choose to build an even taller wall in their yard. Still, the thefts happen all over the area all the time, day and night. The husband and wife decide to add some kind of protection to the walls after seeing the little boy's cat carefully climbing up the wall of the house. It's easy to find choices in this neighborhood. There are lances, spikes, and concrete walls with broken glass embedded in them. At the same time, the little boy and his dog are running happily. The couple chooses the scariest security system of all, a set of metal bands with razor blade holes that go up the outside walls of the house. If someone tries to get through the coils, they can't because the sharp metal will tear them apart no matter which way they move. The security system looks like it would work in a prison camp. It was made by a company called Dragon Teeth. The next day, workers put the coils on the couple's house. The metal shines very brightly in the sun. The man tells his wife that it will weather over time, but she tells him that metal doesn't weather. They hope the cat isn't stupid enough to climb up the wall. The woman reads her son the story of Sleeping Beauty that night. In the story, the brave prince has to fight his way through a thicket of thorns to save Sleeping Beauty. The next day, the boy plays the role of the prince and tells himself that he has to climb over the metal coils that surround the house. But as soon as he wiggles his way into a metal coil, the blades cut his skin. He writhes and screams in pain, getting more and more caught in the wire. The housekeeper and gardener run over to help. The gardener rips his hands up as he tries to save the boy. The husband and wife grab their kids and run outside as the cat likely sets off the house alarm. In the end, heavy machinery is used to remove the little boy's injured body. As they bring the boy's body into the house, the man, the woman, the housekeeper, and the gardener are speechless.
About the author. Nadine Gordimer was born in South Africa to a Jewish father who had immigrated from Lithuania and a mother from London. Gordimer spent a lot of her time at home because her mom was afraid Gordimer had heart problems. During this time, Gordimer started writing. By the time she was 16, she had sent out her first book of adult fiction. She went to the University of the Witwatersrand for a year and then moved to Johannesburg, where she married a dentist named Gerald Gavrin in 1949. The next year, they had a girl named Arian, but they quickly split up. In the 1950s, Gordimer had short stories published in well-known magazines like The New Yorker. In 1954, she married Reinhold Cassirer, a well-known art collector. The next year, they had a son named Hugo. He passed away in 2001 from asthma. In the 1960s, Gordimer joined the fight against apartheid after her best friend Betty Dutoit was arrested and the Sharpeville killing sparked her interest. Nelson Mandela's defense lawyers during his trial in 1962 were friends of Gordimer's. Because of this, Gordimer worked closely with Mandela and edited his powerful "I am prepared to die" speech, which he gave from the defendant's dock at his trial. It was around this time that Gordimer became famous around the world, but the South African government reacted by making it illegal to read some of her books. Others, like The Late Bourgeois World and A World of Strangers, were banned for 10 years or more. Some were only banned for a short time. She joined the African National Congress and even hid ANC members in her home to avoid being caught. In 1991, she won the Nobel Prize for Literature. At the age of 90, Gordimer died in 2014.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.